Good morning. Welcome to First Church Unitarian in Littleton. My name is Cindy Malley. My pronouns are she and her, and I am a plump, middle-aged white woman with short brown hair and glasses. It is my honor to serve you in several ways, including being one of your deacons. This morning, we are worshiping together 100% virtually due to snow. I do miss hugging most of you today, and I am grateful that this technology exists so that we can all be together safely. I hope wherever you are is warm and you have a hot drink and you get some joyfulness out of all of this snow. We are so very happy to have you in this virtual space with us. Our announcements this morning can be found in Community Matters, which should be in your email. I'd like to lift up one thing, and that's that this coming Friday night from 5 to 9, we will be having a Valentine's Day family karaoke party fundraiser. There will be food and fun, and the cost is $5 per person or $20 per family. You can register with a QR code found in Community Matters. Finally, today I don't need to ask you to silence your phones, but I do need you to keep an eye on that mute button. Please stay muted unless you are asked to unmute. Thank you very much. Thank you all, and welcome to church.
Leslie Takahashi has written, "To worship means to consider that which has worth." Today, we consider with gratitude the many gifts of this community, the opportunity to be affirmed in who we are and to offer that affirmation to others, the chance to stand up together to help remake the world in the ideal of justice, the space to expand one's own spirit and to reconnect after busy or humdrum weeks with the sustaining truths of one's life. Regular reminders that we must see our world through the lens of love. So this morning, let's welcome all of these gifts with gratitude, for they have been paid for with many currencies. The blood of the martyrs who died so that we can be free in our religion. The sweat of those who persisted in justice's name against hostility and adversity. The tears of those who struggled to build better lives for those in this life. The questions of our children as they understand the world anew and offer their understanding to us as a fresh lens. The laughter and joy of those giddy with the embrace of community, the dollars and cents of those who gave what they could and then stretched a little more. Today, we consider with gratitude and humility what it means to pay forward what has been paid forward for us. Let us worship. I'd like to invite Natalie to light our chalice.
Love is the spirit of this church, of our church, and service is law. This is our great covenant to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Awesome. Thank you, Natalie. Our opening hymn is The Church That Blesses You, which was written by Dan Richards, a former music director of this congregation. And this recording was made for you a couple of years ago by our wonderful choir.
So today's story is called Maybe Something Beautiful, How Art Transformed a Neighborhood. And it's written by Isabel Campoy, Theresa Howell, and illustrated by Rafael Lopez. If you can see it. In the heart of a gray city lived a little girl who loved to doodle, draw, color, and paint. Every time she saw a blank piece of paper, Mira thought to herself, maybe. And because of this, Her room was filled with color, and her heart was filled with joy. On her way to school one day, Mira gave a round apple to Mr. Henry, the owner of the shop down the street. She gave a flower to Mrs. Lopez, the lady with the sparkling eyes. She gave a songbird to Mr. Sachs and a red heart to the policeman who walked up and down the streets. And on her way home, Mira taped a glowing sun onto the wall, hiding in the shadows. Her city was less gray, but not much. The next day, Mira saw a man with a pocket full of paintbrushes. He gazed at the wall. He looked at her son. He held his fingers up to a square and peered through them. He said thoughtfully. What do you see? Mira asked. Maybe something beautiful, the man replied. Just like that, he dipped the brush in the paint and pow, bam, the shadows scurried away. Blue sky cut through the gloom. The man's laughter was like a rainbow spreading across the sky. Who are you? Mira asked. I'm an artist, he said, a muralist. I paint walls. I'm an artist too, she told him. He handed Mira a brush. Then come on. Mira dipped it in the loudest color she saw. Yoo-wee! The wall lit up like sunshine. As the man drew pictures on the brick, Mira added color, punch, and pizzazz. Soon Mr. Sachs joined in. Then others came. Everyone painted to the rhythm. Salsa, merengue, bebop. Even Mira's mama painted and danced the cha-cha. The whole neighborhood became a giant block party. Until the policeman walked up. Excuse me, he said. The music stopped. Mira put her paintbrush down. They were surely in trouble. The officer cleared his throat and then paused. May I paint with you? He asked. So Mira handed him a paintbrush and the music started again. Teachers and papas jumped in, babies too. Mira and the man handed out brush after brush. Color spread throughout the streets. So did joy. Wherever Mira and the man went, art followed like a string of a kite. After they colored the walls, they painted utility boxes and benches. They decorated sidewalks with poetry and shine. And everyone danced. Together, they created something more beautiful than they ever imagined. When their clothes were scattered with a million colors, everyone sat down to rest, except the muralist. His eyes sparkled. You, my friends, are all artists, he told them. The world is your canvas. He smiled wide and pulled everything together in one big sweeping motion. His paintbrush was like a wand. When he finished, Mira added one more bird, way up in the sky. Maybe, she thought, just maybe, that's what we're like at FCU. Thank you.
And now an anthem from our wonderful choir. Thank you, Molly. Thank you, choir. And now it's time, it's Stewardship Sunday, and now it's time for a very important tithing testimony from our own standing committee member, Jim Nehring.
Dearly beloved, a reading from Leviticus, the 27th chapter, beginning at verse 30. And all the tithe of the land, whether of the seed of the land or of the fruit of the tree, is the Lord's. It is holy unto the Lord. And if a man will at all redeem aught of his tithes, he shall add thereto the fifth part thereof. And concerning the tithe of the herd, or of the flock, even of whatsoever passeth under the rod, the 10th shall be holy unto the Lord. He shall not search whether it be good or bad, neither shall he change it, and if he change it at all, then both it and the change thereof shall be holy, it shall not be redeemed. These are the commandments which the Lord commanded Moses for the children of Israel in Mount Sinai. Our next reading is from the book of Malachi, the 3rd chapter, beginning with the 10th verse.
Excuse me, Jim. Wait a second. Is this supposed to be some kind of kickoff for the stewardship campaign?
Yeah, I mean, what is this? Tithing, Mount Sinai?
Yeah, and who put you in charge anyway? Are you some kind of Moses?
Well, this is quite irregular.
Okay, hold on, everyone. Jim, look it. We don't tithe here. We pledge. Tell your team to lighten up a little.
Yeah, and it's not out of some commandment or obligation, Mount Sinai kind of thing.
Yes, it's because we love our church. We give as an expression of our gratitude.
Well, this is very irregular.
And Jim, don't worry. We do not mean any disrespect. But if you could just flip the tone a little, you might get some more bacon.
Yeah, like try putting on a little smile.
Yeah, and loosen up a bit, like you like the place.
I do like the place.
Yeah, and change the message like you're happy to give.
I'm happy to give.
Yeah, I mean, that's the idea. Like, we're all happy for each other. We're happy together.
Happy together. I like that. I'm happy when I'm together with my friends here at First Church Unitarian.
Yes, exactly.
We're happy together.
That's it. Happy together.
Happy together.
We're happy
Together.
Well, I like that. Gosh, we're happy together. We're happy together. We're happy together. Yay!
Thank you. Is that the stewardship theme? This would be the time for a rousing musical response. And since we're not together, I found one online that in my mind's ear, is that a thing? Sounded the way I imagined us singing it. So here we go.
Strong, last two videos reminded us, we do have a lot of fun together. I guess you really could say we're happy together. Stewardship Sunday reminds us that our congregation is self-supporting. We rely on the generosity of our members and friends for our ministries. Many share generously their time and talent for the ministries of FCU. During the offering, we ask you, if you're able, to share some of your treasure to support our ministries. If you wish to donate online, you can go to our website, fculittle.org, and look for the yellow donate button in the upper right. You could also send a check to the church through the mail to the attention of the assistant treasurer. Our address is 19 Foster Street, Littleton, Massachusetts, 01460. The offering will now be given and received in grateful appreciation. Please join me in the community response. May we be transformed by our giving, and may the world be transformed by our gifts.
Thank you, Roger. It's fun to be back on Zoom together, isn't it? It's kind of weirdly nostalgic. Imagine me and you. I do. I think about us day and night. It's only right to think about the church you love and hold it tight. So happy together. Yes, that's right. The stewardship theme this year is happy together. And I dare say we are pretty happy together at First Church Unitarian in Littleton. It's not that there are never disagreements or controversies. It's not that there are never challenges. It's a human institution, and humans being flawed as we are, there's going to be mistakes and disagreements. We're going to say or do things that we shouldn't from time to time. We're going to leave unsaid and undone things we should have said or done from time to time. But to be in it for the long haul in any group of human beings, in any relationship, You have to work through whatever challenges come. And there has to be a reason that it's worth it to do that work. You have to put some effort into any relationship that you value, including your relationship with the congregation. The more you put into it, the more you get out of it. In a relationship worth working for, you put in blood, sweat, and tears, and a bit of cash. And for that to be true, it has to be worth it. It has to feel worth it to you. And I say that very plainly to you this Stewardship Sunday. And so here we are. It's time for the dreaded Sermon on the Amount, as some Christians call it. It's the annual stewardship talk. What's the right amount to pledge to the congregation? And that's the question before us each and every Stewardship Sunday. And one of the reasons that we dread the stewardship on the amount is that it will be one big guilt trip, right? Give or the heat will be shut off. Give or the congregation staff won't be paid. Give or the church will no longer be able to function. Yes, all of that is true. There are bills to pay, and there's work to be done. And all the members and friends of the congregation have to do their part to keep this beloved community afloat. But the reality is we all have different abilities to give. So the next thing, next only to the guilt trip element of a stewardship talk, the other big reason we don't like to talk about money is the reality that we all have different abilities to give. And there's more economic diversity here at FCU than might meet the eye. Statistically, Unitarian Universalists are well off relative to other Americans. However, not all Unitarian Universalists are well off financially by any means. And I guarantee you that we run the gamut at FCU. Along with race, class issues and other economic issues can be very challenging to discuss, but they're part of our reality. And today, I don't want you to feel guilty if you're among those who are well off financially, and I don't want you to feel any shame if you're struggling financially. I just ask for each of us to take a deep breath and remember with compassion that everyone has a unique situation. In addition to different incomes, we also have different outflows. I know that some of us have dependents or people who rely on us for financial support. You might have other hidden expenses to outside eyes, medical expenses, or any number of things. For those of us who cannot give a larger gift this year, we're grateful for your giving what you can, whatever that is, and we're grateful to have you here participating with us. Most importantly, we're so grateful to have you here with us participating. Please know that and hear that. Your presence really is a gift. Believe it, it's true. We have together so much wealth as a community. We have talented people who sing and make and teach music. We have talented people who cook and decorate and make art and furniture and fix all kinds of things. We have creative people with amazing ideas. We have people skilled with management and leadership, people who have great organizing abilities. We have generous people willing to dig in and clean and wash dishes. We have people who lovingly and skillfully paint our walls, caring people who give rides or bring meals and listen really, really well when you're going through hard times. We have justice-loving people who do lots of good work and education and advocacy and action out in the world and call us to be our best selves and join them. We have fun-loving people who get us out of our houses on a Friday or Saturday night to do something fun at FCU or somewhere else, whether it's game night or karaoke or a movie or what have you. We have people who love to teach and work and play with children and youth. And we also have the gift of children and youth who bring us their talents and ideas and teach us so, so much. On and on. put us all together, all of our talents, all of our generations and ideas, and we have so much. One of the amazing things about this church that blesses us is not just our social wealth or even the part about being happy together. It's the very real, very palpable love at FCU. I noticed it as soon as I came to FCU, going on 7 years ago, and it's still true. I still notice it all the time. When I look around on Sundays, I see a congregation that keeps its love light shining. This congregation has been around since 1714. That's 310 years, many, many generations. This congregation has been in a few different buildings. You've had different ministers. You've had many different standing committee chairs and deacons and other lay leaders helping to keep it all going. You've seen all sorts of changes in those years. And yet, here it is 310 years later, and FCU is providing a spiritual home to so many people who would not feel as sustained or supported or nurtured really anywhere else. You've brought together a congregation of people from different walks of life who come from extremely different religious backgrounds, people of different ages who don't all believe exactly the same things, but who share core values. Excuse me. I see people who obviously care about each other. And yes, people who know how to have fun together, even when they're doing hard work. I see people who know how to do church, as we ministers say, who know what the daily running of the congregation is. And the daily running of a congregation, although sometimes it seems as common as mud, it really is a miracle. It's the miracle of coming together in a shared ministry. And I thank you for the miracle that you have created and sustained. Today, worshiping together on Zoom, being told to unmute. Yes, the good old days. I'm sure many of us are reminded today of the early days of the pandemic. Would the worship assistant please get me a cup of water? Excuse me. I'm sure many of us are reminded of the early days of the pandemic when COVID-19 was at its scariest. For those of you who are newer to FCU and who didn't attend here during those early pandemic days, I can only say I wish you had been here with us. I know we would have enjoyed your company, and I feel sure that you would have been grateful to get through the early pandemic with friends here from FCU. I know we kept asking each other during the pandemic, what were the silver linings? And we meant at the time in the context, what were the silver linings? Oh, thank you, worship assistant. We meant, what were the silver linings of being online only during FCU? But I look back on it now, and I think for me, and I think probably for some others of us, one of the major silver linings of the pandemic was FCU and all that we figured out how to do together during those hard times. We were really there for each other. We rose to the challenge. We had, I don't know if you remember, we had some pretty incredible online attendance, and we really were looking out for each other. We made sure folks were doing okay. We reached out to everyone, and we found ways to be happy together, even virtually. Since January 20th of this year, we find ourselves in yet another very different kind of acute crisis. It's, yes, a crisis of another kind because we're fighting for our democracy. We're quite literally fighting to stave off authoritarianism, even fascism. And so far at FCU, we haven't skipped a beat. Even after the election in November, we had a pretty good sense of what was coming. And since that time, every single preacher from our pulpit, not just me, but every guest preacher you've heard since November, everyone has spoken the truth, different parts of it, of what we're up against, the evil of the current administration. And the rest of you? You've already begun to organize a Reclaiming Our Democracy task force. With its first meeting just last Sunday, being amazingly well attended. You couldn't even fit into the Alliance room. You had to go downstairs to the dining room. We're ready to do our part. And fighting fascism is in our DNA. After all, I don't know if you know it, but what we today know as the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee that does so much good work in the world, it was founded in 1940 to help European refugees who were fleeing Nazi persecution. And everything about our 6 core UU values, justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, and generosity, everything about those 6 core values speaks to our fundamental anti-fascistic tendencies. And we all know that FCU can't overcome fascism all by itself. And by the by, in addition to pledging to FCU, you might want to throw a few dollars at the ACLU if you can. But here at FCU, you'll be able to do some of your work for fighting fascism among friends with deep bonds of trust, knowing you truly always have each other's backs, and knowing you'll even have moments of joy and happiness doing it together. And we have a natural platform, really, for doing some of the work. We've decorated our lawn with diversity pride flags, and I've already heard feedback from neighbors and even strangers passing by that has given them hope and lifted their spirits. We have our wayside pulpit, and we could get really creative with our messaging there and other places on our lawn. We have our lending library. Let's fill it with relevant literature on fighting fascism. We have our building space, not just for our own meetings, but to let the community use for other important organizing activities during this crucial time. On and on. We have so many ways to use our strengths and our gifts to side with love. And I believe that in years to come, we'll remember these dark days of this democracy, but we can look back with pride and maybe even some smiles at what good ministry we were doing together at FCU, making phone calls, sending letters, siding with immigrant and refugee neighbors, siding with transgender and non-binary and other LGBTQ plus friends, siding with those who rely on important government programs, including healthcare and education and much, much more. We are happy together. And the late, great poet Audre Lorde reminds us that joy is an act of resistance. And that's never been more true. This is the essence of First Church Unitarian. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. And this is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. It's a good vibe. It's, I think, the place to be. Let's spread the word. Let's share what we found with others. We can't have too many friends in these times. And let's share what we can of our time, talent, and yes, when we're able, what we can of our treasure. And I know we will, because that's how we roll at FCU. This morning, I don't ask you to give until it hurts. I ask you every Stewardship Sunday to give until it feels good. This year, when you think about your pledge, I want gratitude to be your guide. Only you can know how much giving feels good. This stewardship season and in this lifetime, may you give until you feel abundance and hope. May it be so. Blessed be, and amen. The closing hymn is The Fire of Commitment, and you'll see us singing it once upon a time.
Face every from
It's time for our closing words. And I don't know if you remember this from back in our pandemic worship, but I invite you to hold up your hands. So you're sort of virtually touching hands to the people on the sides of your screen and feeling the energy between us. Friends, to borrow the words, we are the ones we've been waiting for. We have our fire of commitment. We can be together a beloved community of resistance. It's a good thing. We're happy together. We have each other. We can get through it together and even experience some joy. Thank you for helping to sustain this incredible community. Blessed be, and amen. I invite you to remain seated for our postlude.